All right, you guys. Can you hear me? I am back. I am back. I am back. I apologize for the disruption in our broadcast. So hopefully you're jumping back on here soon. Again, I am traveling, so unfortunately this is what I have to deal with. So hopefully we can get through our conversation tonight, so that with very few interruptions, so that you could get the information that you need here. So again, if you're just joining in, my name is Sharika Matthews of Live Life Beyond Barriers, and you are now watching Soulful Conversations. And Soulful Conversation was created with you in mind for the woman who's just tired of being sick and tired. She's tired of always giving of herself to everybody and everything, and she's left feeling depleted and tired and overwhelmed and overworked and not really getting the rewards that she truly wants. So tonight's topic for Soulful Conversation, hey Kim, hey Mom, my mom joined me. Hey Kim, thank you guys for joining in. So tonight's topic for conversation is simply, we want to address the habit of overdoing it. We want to address the habit of overspending and overeating and over busyness. You may be in this habit of always giving to other people, over giving yourself. We are in this space of doing so much that you have zero left for yourself. And even to the point of you're beginning to harm yourself. You know, when you overeat, you are harming your body. You may be oversexing somebody or some people, and you're bringing harm to your body. You may be indulging in too much sugar, overindulging in spending, and you're doing harm to yourself and your livelihoods and your body and your ability to do more and be who you were created to be. And so we want to get to the space of breaking that habit, because essentially it is a habit. It is a habit that we have formed in order for us to cope with some of the things we're dealing with in life. And so that's what we want to talk about today. What is the root cause? How do we even get to this space of creating this habit, of forming this habit, and then what can we do to break that particular habit? But before we get too much into it, let me go ahead and introduce myself for those of you who are new to me. Like I said earlier, my name is Sharika Matthews, and officially I am a life and relationship coach. But what I really do is that I coach women and I serve women and I teach women, particularly women who have lost themselves, who have lost a sense of who they really are, or really don't even know who God has created them to be yet, all because they have been so busy climbing the corporate ladder, so busy being a wife, so busy being a mother, so busy just being and doing anything and every, being everything everywhere to all people at all times. You lost a sense of yourself. And so what I do is give women back their happiness, give women back their joy, give women back their peace, so that they could be bold and unapologetic, be that woman that God has created them to be. So that's exactly what I do, and that's really what's going to happen as you continue to show up for these soulful conversations. Give you the confidence, give you the tools, give you the information that you need so that you can be who you were created to be. It's that simple. All right, so if you haven't done so already, go ahead and share this video so that other people may get in on this. Because like I said, if you are struggling with overindulging, you're struggling with doing too much and always being busy, chances are there are 3 people in your circle who's probably struggling with the same exact thing. So go ahead and share this video with your friends and your family, because we want to be able to share this knowledge and make the world a better place. Okay, so back to our topic for tonight. Let's get into the meat of this thing, because we want to do is stop the habit of just going over and beyond unnecessarily. Because when you do that, in the end, you are left feeling tired, unmotivated, stressed, dissatisfied, and just simply wanting more things out of life. But here's a little known secret of what's really happening when you're doing these things. You are killing yourself. Think about that. You are killing yourself. You are killing your health. You are killing your vitality. You are depleting the resources that you need, your resources of time, energy, and money that you need to go on vacation. You're depleting the resources that you need to start your business. You are depleting the resources that you need to take care of your family. You are depleting the resources that you need in order to pursue your dreams. And unfortunately, you don't even recognize that you're doing this because our ego has managed to hide this from us. Hey, Lucky, how are you? Your ego has managed to hide this from you by giving you excuses and reasons that sound logical and sound good. Have you ever said things like, oh, this okay if I go on a shopping spree once every 2 weeks? It's okay if I, eat a whole chocolate cake because, I'm just self-love. Just, this is how I just take care of myself. Hey, Rachel, how are you, lady? This is just a part of my self-love and self-care and taking care of myself. So it's okay if I overindulge and overdo this and overdo that. Or you may say, well, don't I deserve to go shopping? Don't I deserve to enjoy the food that I eat? Don't I deserve to go and just be with somebody just to make myself feel good? Don't I deserve to do this? Or here's a sneaky one. You may actually say, well, I am just a good person and I really love to give and to give and to give. But see, there's a difference between giving and serving from a place of wholeness versus giving and serving from a place of overcompensating. And so for the average woman, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So for the average woman, all these things are just simply cover-ups. This is what our ego has told us in order to give us permission to do all these things. Is actually detrimental, not just to our health, but to the woman that we are becoming. Because remember that as we are going through life, we are constantly growing. We are constantly we are constantly moving towards that woman that God has created us to be. And so what your ego does is wants to keep you safe in its mind. It wants to keep you from growing and becoming that person that God has created you to be. So when you find yourself in this state of overdoing it, what's really happening is that you're probably struggling in one or more of these areas I'm about to share with you. Yes. Hey, Lucky, thank you for that comment. So if you're in this state of doing too much, you're probably doing one of the following. Number one, and I should pause here for a second. If you don't have paper and pencil, go and grab paper and pencil right now, because if you have been with me for any amount of time, I teach. So anytime I show up and you show up, come prepared to take notes, okay? So I'm going to give you 6 reasons why you're doing all this overgiving and overworking and overeating and overspending and all this good stuff. So the first reason is you're trying to you're trying to fill an emotional void, or you're trying to heal an emotional wound. You're trying to fill an emotional void, or you're trying to heal an emotional wound, meaning that somebody probably broke your heart. You've probably gone through a divorce. You have probably lost someone to death, or maybe it's just a friendship, a relationship that simply has fallen apart and it's left this sense of emptiness in your heart. How many of you have ever had hey Kim, yeah. How many of you have had an argument with your sister? Like you and your sister were like this, and you guys had this big blow up, and you haven't spoken for 3 months, 6 months, it could be 5 years. And although you feel justified in how you're feeling, you actually still feel their absence in your life, and that void sometimes just weighs heavy on you. So it could be your sister, it could be your mother, it could be anybody that you have lost due to just a broken relationship, a divorce, or even to death. So you're trying to heal a wound or fill an emotional void. The second reason is you're trying to compensate for that. You're trying to compensate for the loss of something in your life or the loss of someone, meaning that, let's say you have lost your job. And any of you who have ever gone through a layoff or been fired from a job or something like that, you know when you lose something major in your life, that creates a void. It creates a sense of lack. It creates a sense of you feeling less than who you really are. And so you tend to try and do something to fill that up, to make you feel bigger than what this loss, because what it is, you feel as if this thing or this person has taken something with them, and left you with you being less than whole. So when you're overdoing all this stuff, you are trying to compensate for that loss of that thing or that person. The third reason is simply this: you're trying to get people to like you or approve of you. You know, this is classic people pleaser syndrome. I know it. I used to be one. And, you know, I still have to be very intentional with myself at times to make sure I don't fall back into that habit. Because when you are a people pleaser, it's simply just that you want to please others. Some of it is simply your good nature. Some of it is you are seeking love. You are seeking support. You are seeking approval. If your love language is words of affirmations, guess what? It's very, very easy for you to fall into this trap of being a people pleaser. And so, you know, when I was struggling with this, one of the things, and I think a lot of people, not a lot, but some people also struggle with this as well. When you're growing up, sometimes we equate receiving love from our parents or having love taken away from us by our parents as we have to earn or we lose that love. So let me give you a better example. So let's say you are 5 years old and you get a gold star from your kindergarten class, and you come home and you're like, look, Mom, I got a gold star. It's good behavior today in school. And your mom is like, oh, baby, you are such a good kid. I love you, blah, blah, blah. You know, they are loving on you and everything. But the next day you don't get a gold star, actually get a note written home. Then what happens? Your mom fusses at you. You's like, you don't get that same reaction. And so when you create patterns of life, when you create patterns of that in your childhood, guess what? You begin to associate, okay, if I am good, if I get people to like me, if I get their approval, then that means I am loved. Which creates adults who do things such as overgiving, always saying yes, always being available, always taking up other people's slack, always picking up after other people. That is your way of living out that childhood lesson that says, if I get people to like me, if I do what people want me to do, then I will receive love. So that is part of why you're overdoing it a lot in your life. Okay? Number 4, you're trying to make yourself feel better because you feel like a failure. You feel like a failure in one or more areas of your life. So, and I heard someone say this once before, especially women who are married, and you're fresh into marriage and you're kind of feeling some kind of way about being a good wife, like you're trying to be a good wife and please your husband. Or you could be a parent and you know, there's no book on parenthood. We all know this, right? And so you may be in this place of, oh, I don't know, my kid is doing X, Y, and Z, and I feel responsible for it. Maybe I'm not as good of a parent. Maybe I'm not even cut out to be a parent. So, or you could be an entrepreneur. You could be a business owner trying to start a business, and you're like, oh, I should be much further along than where I am. I'm making so many mistakes and blah, blah, blah. And so now you feel like a failure. But the way our bodies are made up, the way our minds, our emotions, and spirit is made up, no one wants to stay in this negative state of mind. No one wants to stay in this negative state of belief. And so we do things to make ourselves feel better when we're feeling as if we are failing in one or more areas of our lives. The 5th thing is that you are hiding. You're actually hiding behind the money, behind the food, behind the clothing, behind the activities, behind the busyness, because you really don't like you. You don't like the person you have become, and you don't like the life that you're living. And so there is this sense of a shame that you're bearing. You know, you may be like, well, you know, I am a single unwed mother of 6 kids, and although I love my children, I still feel this sense of shame because my sister is married to a wonderful man, has 2.5 kids, a dog, and a house with a white picket fence. You feel as if you're not meeting the standards or the expectations that your parents have for you, or you may feel as if you may not be living up to the expectations that you had for yourself. And so you have this sense of shame, this sense of heaviness. So you begin to hide behind overindulging in so many things to put on the facade that you are in a better place, that you are happy, that you feel good about yourself, when in reality, that's not the case. And then last but not least, number 6, you're trying to make yourself feel comfortable or get back to something familiar. Now, this happens when you have had a major shift in your life, meaning you have had to uproot your whole life and your whole family and move from one coast to the other. You move from New York to California, and everything about life is different. You move from the south to the north like I did. I went from Texas to Chicago. Y'all, it's cold up here. Y'all see, I got on a sweater. It is May, what's the date? May 21st. And it's cold up here. I'm in Wisconsin actually right now instead of Chicago. But it's cold up here for no good reason cold. I'm still having issues about that. But you get the point, right? When you have major shifts in your life, especially when it takes you from one extreme to another, you tend to overcompensate because you want to get back to some familiarity, to feel a sense of comfort. And one of the first things, especially we as women do, when we want to feel comforted, is either turn to food or turn to money/shopping. Because what it does, when you think of comfort, you think of somebody embracing you, putting their arms around you, making you feel warm. And that's what happens when you eat. When you eat, your body generates heat. And then if you eat enough, your body begins to insulate itself with extra layers of fat, which means you begin to feel warm, you begin to feel comfortable, you begin to feel safe. Same thing with clothes. We like to go shopping and do a lot of shopping for clothes and shoes and stuff. Why? Because it adds layers on us so that we could feel warm and protected and safe. All you're trying to do is your mind's way of doing what it can to restore some sense of safety, to restore some sense of familiarity, and to restore some sense of comfortability. So those are the 6 reasons why you may be overspending, overindulging, overeating, overgiving, overserving, over whatever it is that you're struggling with. So of these 6 things I just listed, how can you relate to any of them? Did I relate to anybody on that? We talked about feeling an emotional void, a heartbreak, divorce. We talked about, trying to compensate for a loss. Does anybody relate to that? Leave me a comment below. I just want to make sure that I am still, on point and talking to the right people, talking to where you are. Leave a comment below. And so, while you guys are typing your comments, I know there's like a little bit of a time delay from when I speak to the time you actually hear it. Then you got to type it and get back to me. So, but I'm going to keep going here. But definitely let me know if you can relate to any of this. And so you really, in order for you to really kind of get in line with this, you have to get really, really honest with yourself. I mean, a level of honesty and vulnerability with yourself like you've never done before. If you cannot say, well, I'm not sure where, or if you're saying I'm not sure where I fall into this, it may take you actually taking some time by yourself, literally with a mirror in front of your face, and try to figure out, okay, what is it that I am really hiding from myself? Because oftentimes we're not as honest with ourselves as we would like to think we are. We have these thoughts in our heads, and as soon as these thoughts in our head and the feelings come up, we tend to push them back down because we don't want to deal with them. So let me give you some questions. I want you to write these questions down to kind of help bring to the surface what it is you're actually dealing with. So the first question I want you to write and ask yourself is this: how do I feel when I overindulge with these things? How do I feel when I overindulge with these things? Hey, Rachel. Yeah, Rachel, Rachel said that she can relate by staying busy and keeping a happy face. I used to be really good at that too. When I was younger, what I would do is I would literally put on a full face of makeup to hide the way I was feeling. And then I would get really, really busy. I would go volunteer at every place to make sure I did not have to deal with my own emotions. I wouldn't feel lonely. So I wouldn't, feel the void of a breakup or something like that. So thank you for sharing, Rachel. So in order for you to help discover what's really hiding beneath the surface, ask yourself these questions. Number one, how do I feel when I overindulge with these things? Number two, how do I want to feel after I eat or shop or give or keep myself busy? How do you really want to feel? Because here's the thing, when you're going out and you're keeping yourself busy and you're doing all these things, you're doing it to avoid something, but you also are doing it to get to a place. So how do you actually want to feel as a result of eating your favorite food? How do you want to feel as a result of volunteering for every opportunity out there? How do you want to feel when after you go shopping and blow your whole paycheck? How do you actually want to feel when you do that? Number three, what hurt do I not want to deal with? When you realize that there is, you're trying to get your emotions to a certain place, you have to acknowledge where you are. So you're overeating, you're over shopping because you're trying to raise your vibrations, you're trying to raise your energy, you're trying to raise how you feel from where you are, but you have to acknowledge your base point. You have to acknowledge where you are. Hey, Chuck, thank you for joining. You have to acknowledge where you are. So what hurt do I not want to deal with? Number four, am I experiencing loneliness? And this is a real question because a lot of us are experiencing loneliness, but we're in denial about it. We think that we cannot feel lonely because we're married. We think we cannot feel lonely because we have 5 kids. We think we should not feel lonely because we're a member of a sorority, we're in our choir at church, we are doing this, and this. You're surrounded by people all the time, but yet and still you're feeling lonely. Did you say, Kim? Yeah, what hurt do you not want to feel? Yeah. And one of those main hurts is loneliness. And a lot of us are dealing with it and we're not saying anything. We haven't even acknowledged it to ourselves. So be honest. Do you feel lonely? And it's okay if you do. And then number 5, do I need comforting? Do I need a hug? And I laugh because sometimes I just simply ask people that, do you need a hug? Because sometimes when people begin to lash out, they're angry and they are busy, they're always saying yes, or maybe they're always saying no, or something is going on that's causing you to do something in excess. And you may simply just need comforting. You may simply need a hug or something to make you feel warm and safe and protected. So the point of those questions that I want you to ask yourself is really to get your mind thinking and turning and get you to this place of being open and vulnerable with yourself. Because these answers you don't necessarily have to share with anybody. It's time for you to get honest with yourself. So I really highly recommend you writing these questions down and answering them in your own time. But what that does for you, those 5 questions will lead you to step number 1 of how to break this habit of overindulging and overeating and overcompensating for so much stuff. And that first step is simply to identify the hurts or the void that you're trying to cover up. Identify the hurts or the void you're trying to cover up, because here's the truth. You cannot change the fruit until you change the roots. You want to write this down. You cannot change the fruit until you change the root. I forget what book I was listening to, but it's like, you walk by a tree, right? And there's an apple tree and it's blooming apples. But what you really want are oranges. And so you go through and you pick all the apples off the tree, you throw it down. And you're like, okay, tree, I want you to give me some oranges. So you come back a couple of months later and what do you see? You see more apples. Why? Because you didn't change what was in the ground. You didn't change the root. You didn't change the seed. You didn't change the foundation. So until you get really clear on what it is that you're trying to avoid, until you get really clear on what pain, what hurts, or what you're trying to cover up, you cannot change the results that you're experiencing in your life. You cannot change the fruit until you change the root. So that's number 1. Number 2, If it is something that's missing from your life, let's say you're missing you're missing the presence of a person, you're missing the presence of a job, you're missing the presence of earrings. You guys may remember a few months ago I lost a pair of diamond earrings. Oh, that hurt my soul. That hurt my soul. I really didn't lose the whole pair. I lost one. That hurt my soul. So if you're missing something from your life, ask yourself why. One thing that we have to remember, that nothing happens on accident in life. Everything is happening for a specific reason. And while we may not get the immediate answer as to why, like at that moment when I lost my earring, I could not understand for the life of me why I needed to lose my earring, because those earrings actually held a very special meaning for me. And so I could not understand why God would take that away from me. But I do now, 6 months, 5 months later, I understand that now. But we have to remind ourselves that God is still in charge of every single thing. Nothing happens to you without his permission. God doesn't take things away from you for the sake of hurting you. God does not create space in your life by taking things from your life without the intention of filling it back up. So you have to remind yourself of what you believe about who God is. Do you believe that God is good? Do you believe that God has your best intentions in mind? Do you believe that God can replace anything and everything that you feel you have lost in your life? So if there is something that you are missing from your life, ask yourself, why do you believe that God has removed it from your life? Ask yourself, do you believe that God can replace it with somebody, with something or somebody that's better for you and better for who you're going to be and the path that you are traveling down? Number 3, if you are experiencing heartache from a death, divorce, or a loss of a relationship, ask yourself, why was it necessary for this person to leave your life at this time? We sometimes create our own attachments to people unnecessarily. And part of it is just our human nature. Humans were created for relationships. Humans were created to be around other humans. And so it's natural for us to want to be around people. Then if there are people that we like and love, we want them to stay with us. But you have to remember that God designed you for a specific purpose. God designed you to go to places and to elevate in different times of your life. And so there are some people come into your life for a reason and for a season. And the longer that you try to hold on to certain people, the longer you're going to stay in this season of your life that's been expired. And then you're going to start experiencing more heartache. Then you're going to start experiencing more pain. Then you're going to start experiencing more losses, all because you are refusing to let go of something that God is trying to take away from you. You're refusing to let go of a person or a relationship that God is trying to take away from you, even if it is death, which death is such a hard thing to deal with. We have to release that person to God. Just because you release that person, release that attachment, does not mean you have dishonored that person. It does not mean that you will forget that person. You can still honor that person and love that person and hold that person near and dear to your heart without allowing that attachment to keep you anchored where you are. That is the whole key of this thing. This attachment is keeping you anchored to where you are. And so now you're trying to reach back into the past and bring them back here. You're holding on to all this negative stuff. When God is like, Sharika, just let it go. Sharika, I'm trying to move you forward. Sharika, I'm trying to heal you, but you won't let me heal you. Which brings me to number 4. You have to let go of the past. And we're going to talk a little bit more into details about this tomorrow. Let go of the past. You can hold on to the memories, but you have to release your emotional attachment to the past. One of the things that I struggled with when I first moved up here to Chicago was letting go of my life in Houston. I love Houston. I love the weather in Houston. I can't, I can't really say that I have completely let go of the Houston weather. I like being warm more than I like being cold. That's just the truth. But when you are in a season of change, we are in a season of growth. When God's trying to take you to a different level, he forces you to change. And if you are resisting God, if you're resisting his will, if you're resisting the path that God has designed for you, you're holding on back here, but God is pulling you forward. And what's that do? It puts strain right here. It creates more hurt because you're trying to hold on to the past. You're like, God, but God, I miss my friends. But God, I miss my old life. But God, I miss having a regular paycheck. But God, I miss this. I miss this. I miss this. And God's like, no, Sharika, I need you to come this way because I have something better. But I can't receive that better if I'm still holding on to the past. So you have to learn to let it go, to release it. And when it comes to relationships, or even an old life or an old way of being, it is okay to mourn the past. People think that you only mourn when you have lost a person. People think you only mourn when you have experienced death. But that's not the case. You can mourn the loss of a job. You can mourn the loss of your old life. You can mourn the fact that you miss your life in Houston and you're creating a new life in Chicago. You can actually mourn that because it is a major life change. Going back to what I said earlier about the reasons why we're overworking and overcompensating, oversleeping and overeating is because a major life changes happen and we're trying to fill up that gap. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that. We're trying to fill in that gap. And until you're always going to have that gap or fill that void if you are always holding on to that. You're always holding on to that. And so the example that I want to use in this, and like I said, we're going to go a little bit more in depth into it tomorrow, is whatever you are conscious of is what you produce in your presence. Meaning, if you are always conscious of your past, if you're always conscious of what your life used to be like, if you're always conscious of that relationship you used to have, if you're always conscious of the success or the money that you used to have, if you're always conscious of that thing in the past, you're creating a presence of lack. Because what you're really conscious of is the loss, you're conscious of the void that you have of the past. So whatever you're conscious of is what you create in your present. Thank you, Kim. Is what you create in your present. And so you have to just shift your consciousness by letting go of the past. Hold on to the memories, that's fine. But releasing your attachment to the past. So that's number 4. And number 5, now once you have let go of the past and you're ready to move forward into the future, now you shift your focus to replacing and upgrading your life. Going back to the earring that I lost, like I said, I was so hurt, y'all, when I lost that earring. I was just, okay, God, okay, where did I lose? The Holy Spirit speak to me. Holy Spirit guide me, show me where I lost my earring. Couldn't find the earring. I'm like, okay, God. And so I was feeling kind of bummed about that. I'm like, okay, well, you didn't allow me to find it, God, so I'm just going to choose to believe that you're going to upgrade my earrings. But I was still for a while holding on to this old pair of earrings. I'm like, but I really want some earrings now, God. I didn't really have to buy, get a new pair of earrings. And so here recently, I've discovered a beautiful pair of earrings that is so much better than what I had before. And I'm like, is this why I had to lose that earring to force me to go look for other stuff? And here I am now in this place of, wow, I get to upgrade what I had before. I am in a position to do something better than what I had before. I'm replacing it. God is replacing what I thought that I lost. God is filling the void himself. God is taking up that space, all because I finally decided to let it go. And the same thing is true with relationships. Some of us hold on to relationships that have long gone past. We're still holding on to that feeling, but then we're still upset and angry while we're still single. Or we're still holding on to how somebody treated us yesterday, which is simply unforgiveness. But if you are now focusing on replacing what you lost and upgrading what you lost, oftentimes you find that God has a ram in the bush right around the corner. Oftentimes you find that God has a miracle, a blessing, or simply a beautiful gift already prepared for you. He just needed for you to turn around and see it. So focus on replacing and upgrading versus trying to keep living in the past. What you say, Kim? Yeah, God don't deal with, I like that, Kim. God don't deal with leftovers. I love it. Yes, Rachel, God will fill you up and fill the void. That is so true, but you have to let him do that. So those are the 5 things that you can do in order to stop yourself from overeating and overdoing and overserving. Number 1, identify the hurts or the void you're trying to cover up. Number 2, if there is something you're missing from your life, ask yourself why. And remember that God is still in charge of everything. Number 3, if you are experiencing heartache from a death, divorce, or a loss of a relationship, ask yourself why it was necessary for that person to be removed from your life. Number 4, simply let go of the past. You can hold on to the memories, but you can release your emotional attachment to the past. And number 5, get ready to replace or upgrade your life. And that's really it, because once you start practicing these things on a daily basis, because like I said, just because you listen to me now, just because you take your notes now, you have to actually do this every single day. You make a conscious decision. Okay, I still feel some heartache from me getting dumped 2 months ago from my boyfriend. So I need to make sure that I'm not doing the wrong things to heal myself. So now I've accepted the fact that God removed him from my life because he really wasn't the best person for me to go where God has me to go. I've accepted that, and I thank God for it. So now I'm releasing my attachment to him. I'm releasing my attachment to the dream that I had, thinking that we were going to get married. I'm releasing that. And I'm allowing God to replace. I'm allowing God to upgrade my life with something that is better than what I had before. I am believing that, and I'm moving forward with that. That is literally the conversation that you have with yourself every single day, or really the conversation that you have between you and God about moving forward. Again, if you are not intentional about moving your life forward, you're either going to stay still or you're going to move backwards. Hey, Wendy, thank you for joining. So take these tips I have given you today and put them into practice every single day. So I want to hear from you guys. Those are the notes I have for today. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know how you are going to kind of stop overdoing some of the things that you're doing right now, because what it really is, it's nothing but self-sabotage. You are actually holding yourself back from fully becoming the woman that God has created you to be. You are holding yourself back from fulfilling the promise that God has promised to you. You are holding yourself back from living out the vision that God gave to you yesterday, that God gave to you last year, that God gave to you 5 years ago. So you have to stop this cycle and this habit of self-sabotage and start getting to this place of moving forward in your life. So leave me a comment below and let me know, what are some of the nuggets that you got from today's lesson? What are some things that you can actually start applying to your life and start doing now? If you guys were here yesterday on my live video yesterday, you know that I put into action some of the things that we talked about yesterday. We talked about doing something different, shaking up your life. So like I said, promise you, I put on a different hair today because, hey, why not? Why not do something different and do something fun just to break up the monotony? So there are some easy things you can do to implement change, but you have to do it. One thing at a time, one day at a time. That's all you have to do, you guys. It's really that simple. So again, I hope that I have said something here this evening that has blessed you. I hope that I have said something here this evening that will help you change your life. If this video was a blessing to you, please share this video with your friends and your family, because I do this as a way to give back to everybody. I do this as a way to serve you in my lane, in my gift that God has blessed me with. So like this video, leave your comments below, and share this video with your friends and your family. If you have any questions about anything I've said here tonight, leave a comment below, or if it's something private, send me a DM here on Facebook and I'll address you personally. And again, if this is something that you like, this is something you enjoy, please go ahead and share with others. So tomorrow we are going to continue our soulful conversation, and we're going to have the conversation about just letting it go. How to release the past and be present in your present, because way too many of us are living in our past. So join me here again tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time here at Soulful Conversation, www.soulfulconvos.com. All right, you guys, thank you again for joining me here tonight. Have a great evening, and I'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.